In this tutorial, I will show you how to create these 5 simple text animations quickly and easily in After Effects. And stick around till the end, I will show you how to make an animation just like this one. Let's get started. Now, I'm going to animate this first one, okay? So I'm going to animate and I'm going to add in the position and I'm going to add in the opacity. Okay, so first we add a property from this section and then we add the additional properties from this section. Okay, so if you, let's say if you add properties from this section, you will be creating different animator, but if you add property from here, you will be adding it to the already existing animator. Okay, so I'm going to bring this down like this and I'm going to change the opacity to 0. Okay, now I'm going to go into range selector and then I'm going to go into advanced, and the only thing that you are concerned here is the shape. So the shape is basically the transition of this animation. Okay, it's not really a shape, it's a shape of the transition. So I'm going to change this to ramp up and I'm going to change this to -100. Then I'm going to keyframe this. Then I'm going to go shift page down 2 times. Then I'm going to change this to 100. And now I'm going to change this to 50. Okay. And you can also ease this if you want, but that's not necessary. Okay. So that's the first animation. So now let's move on to the another animation. So let's add first of all position. Okay. Then I'm going to add in rotation. Then I'm going to add in, let's go with opacity. Then I'm going to add in the color. So I'm going to add in just RGB. Then I'm going to add in the blur. Okay. Now I want this to be a 3D animation. Okay. But I cannot just change everything to 3D from here. All you have to do is just go here, property, and then enable per 3D characters. Okay. So I'm going to change this color first of all to something lighter like this. Okay, then I'm going to change the position. Okay, let's go with -1500. You can increase it if you want. Okay, then I'm going to change the Y rotation, I guess. Okay, just a little bit, and you can play around here as much as you want. And then I'm going to change the opacity, but before that I'm going to increase the blur to something like this, and I'm going to change the opacity. Okay. Now I'm going to go into range selector. I'm going to go into advanced and then I'm going to change this to ramp up. Okay. You can already see the animation, and then I'm going to change this to -100, keyframe it, shift page down, and then you change this to 100. Okay. So you can change many things here. So if you want to pick this background's color, you can pick that as well. If you want to make it dark, I think I'm going to go with yellow. Okay. So I think this animation is too quick. This is the animation of the entrance or in, right? So call this 3D underscore in. Right now you want to animate it out. So all you have to do is just go a few frames ahead. Then you control C, control V, and then you right click keyframe assistant and then time reverse the keyframes, right? So you have a simple, really simple animation. Now let's move on to the third. In this one, we are going to do something with the color. Okay. So I'm going to add in the fill color and then RGB. Okay. So we have something like red. Now I'm going to change this to something that looks decent. Okay. So this one looks, well, it doesn't have to look that nice because it's not going to stay. Okay. So now I'm going to add in position, right? Then I'm going to add in, let's go with opacity. Then I'm going to add in the blur. Okay. So let's make it slide it from the right side. So I'm going to just push it here. Okay. Like this. And I'm also going to change the blur to something like this. It doesn't have to be extreme. Then I'm going to move this little bit further. Then I'm going to change the opacity to 0. And I'm going to go into range selectors, advanced properties, and then I'm going to change this to ramp up. Okay, you can already see the animation. Then I'm going to change this to -100. I'm going to drop a keyframe here. Then I'm going to press shift page down 2 times, and then I'm going to change this to 100. Okay, I'm going to change this ease low to 100. Okay, we have an animation like this. So you can change the sides as well. Let's say that you don't want this, you want it from the opposite side. Okay, so all you have to do is just add minus, and then, well, you have this animation. Now let's move on to the fourth animation. Okay, so for this, let's go with character offset. Okay, so this basically offsets the character, as you can tell. I'm going to add in, let's add blur, then let's add the opacity. Okay, and I'm going to change this offset. Let's go with 4, and then I'm going to change this opacity to something like this. Then I'm going to change this to 100, and I'm going to go into range selector. I'm going to go into advanced, and then I'm going to change this to ramp up, and I'm going to change this to -100. Then I'm going to go 20 frames ahead by pressing shift page down, and then we have an animation like this. So this is really cool, and I'm going to change this to not this. Okay, I'm going to change this to in red. Okay, this might look good without the blur. Okay, so let's try that. And you can also add many things. Okay, so let's try adding the color of green. So I'm going to add infill color RGB, and I'm going to choose green color. Okay, so now we are going to create our final animation. Okay, okay, so I'm going to animate and choose scale. I'm going to go at the first frame, and then I'm going to get rid of this constraints, and then I'm going to change this to 0. Then I'm going to go into range selector, then I'm going to go into advanced, and I'm going to change this to ramp up, and I'm going to change this ease low to 100. I'm going to animate this, so I'm going to change this at -100. Then I'm going to go shift page down 2 times. Then I'm going to change this to 100. Simple animation, right? Then I'm going to rename this. I'm going to call this scale underscore in. Once that is done, I'm going to duplicate this. Then I'm going to go into this, and I'm going to offset these keyframes. Okay. Now I'm going to change the value of the scale here. So I'm going to go with, let's go around with 150. That could be really extreme, but it might look nice. And then I'm going to change the ease low to 0, and I'm going to amp this up to 100. And also, if you want, you can ease these keyframes as well. Right click, keyframe assistant, and easy ease. Okay, that's how simple it is. So we are done with our 5 animations. Now let's move on to the bonus section. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to create a text here. So let's go with something like faith, and I'm going to align it to the center. Okay, then I'm going to make sure that this is selected, and then you draw a box like this, which is a text box. Okay, and then I'm going to type in faith. Okay, and I'm going to go to properties, and then I'm going to change this fonts to something like this, and I'm going to change this to, let's go with 70. Okay, and well, I'm going to change this fonts to something that I can see. Also, I'm going to change this as well. Just make sure that the entire box is filled. That's the only point you have to remember. Okay, I'm going to align it to the center. Okay, and I'm going to draw a mask on this. Okay, but first of all, I'm going to just make sure that anchor point is center, and then I'm going to draw a mask around here like this. Okay, and well, nothing really happens. Then I'm going to go into text path options, and then I'm going to choose mask 1. Okay, well, we have a very scary looking animation, but don't worry about that. Then I'm going to go into animate, and then I'm going to choose line spacing. Okay, Then we are going to animate this. So I'm going to change this to something around here, or okay. Then I'm going to go at, let's go with 3 seconds, and I'm going to just change this to the opposite. Okay. Now the next thing that I'm going to do before we do anything is I'm going to press U, and then I'm going to animate the rotation. So I'm going to press R and drop the keyframe. Then I'm going to press U, and I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to change this rotation to something around, let's go with 90. And the reason why it moved is because the anchor point is not properly aligned to the center. Okay. And I'm going to just click on Y, and then I'm going to just snap it to the center. Okay. By holding control. Okay. Now it will rotate properly, as you can see. So I'm going to turn this layer on, and I'm going to place the layer in the center. Okay. So we have a simple, really simple, but really good looking animation like this. And we can change the speed of this. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create an adjustment layer by pressing this shortcut. And on that adjustment layer, I'm going to apply an effect called optics compensation. Okay. So, okay, we have optics compensation. And then I'm going to go at this frame. I'm going to drop this keyframe here. Then I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to change this to 100. I think it's too much. So let's go with 50. Okay. Then I'm going to change this font's color to something like yellow. Okay. Now I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to push this to 100. And then I'm going to just push these keyframes back until it looks nice. Okay. And I'm going to push this further like this. Then let's make changes to this. Okay, so I'm going to go into text. I'm going to go into animator, and let's try to reduce this to see how the results. Okay. And also if you change this, you will have a different result. See, so if I push this like really in, you have completely different kind of results. And if I push this adjustment layer back, well, now you can see that this is creating that flowery like animation. Okay. But I think it's too congested. So I'm going to just make space for it. And you still have control over the fonts. If you want to change fonts, you can change the fonts as well. Okay, you want to change the color, you can change the color. If you want to go and change the size of it, you can change the size of it as well. See, so you have more control than you think in this method. Okay, so then I'm going to create a solid by pressing Ctrl Y, and then I'm going to bring it below like this. And I think I'm going to bring faith on top, and I'm going to mask this. Okay. Then I'm going to invert this, and then I'm going to feather it. Okay. Then I'm going to reduce the opacity. Okay. Then I'm going to create another solid, and I'm going to apply an effect called turbulent noise. Okay. And I'm going to keep everything as it is. I just want to make change to this. So I'm going to add in expression time star. Let's go with 24. And I'm going to add in more noise to this. Let's go with 70. And I'm going to change the blending mode to overlay. Let's go with screen, and then I'm going to reduce this, and I'm going to mask this. Okay. Then I'm going to invert this. Then I'm going to feather this. Okay. I'm going to reduce this to 15, and I'm going to reduce the noise on this, and let's lower the contrast, and you can make changes to this. It looks really nice, and you can do so many things here if you want. So we are done with this.